Hello crafty people, welcome to my channel and to this celebration card process video. It's day 9 of Die Cut December, so today I'm going to use these dies in my card making. I've got a stitched frame circle die or a stitched circle frame die, a butterfly die and a butterfly body die. I'm using hammered white cardstock for my card base, which is about 4 by 6 inches. I've got a panel that's slightly smaller all the way around, just gives a tiny little border. I've cut from the hammered white cardstock a butterfly, and I've also cut one from gold foil and popped it on a bit of post-it tape to keep the inlay pieces where I want them, because I'll be inlaying the gold into the white butterfly just for a change. And this little bit here is smooth white cardstock, and I'm going to colour this and then cut lots of circle frames with this die. So the first thing I'm going to do is cover it in glue. This is a Zig two-way glue gun, not a glue gun, a glue pen. And I'm going to scribble that on, cover it as much as I can. You could use double-sided adhesive sheets for this, but I found in the past that when I put luscious powders on, which is what I'm going to do today, they don't lose all their stickiness, so the card stays a bit too sticky, but this normally does the trick. So that's more or less dry now, it's more or less clear and it's nice and sticky. So I'm going to pop some gilding flakes on it. I'm going to dot it around in lots of different places because I want every frame that I cut to have a bit of gold on. Doesn't have to look pretty at this stage. It's going to be a fairly distressed look, I guess. And now I've got some luscious pigment powders in raspberry jam and teal, and these work really nicely together. I love this combination of colours. I'm going to splatter some around. So again, every frame has a bit of both colours. You don't need an awful lot of this pigment powder, it does go a long way. And I'm going to use my big fan brush, it's already got some gilding flakes stuck in its bristles, to move that pigment powder around and flatten out the gold a bit. Right, we'll need a little bit more. There we go, I think we've got all the glue covered, and now I'm going to use this little sponge. I got this from Spectrum Noir, I think, to burnish the flakes. See, there's a couple of bits where it wasn't quite dry and the luscious powder and gilding flakes haven't stuck to it properly and it's a bit messy, but we can work with that, we can cut around. So I'm going to pop my die on. I'm going to avoid that bit of mess there and that bit of mess there, and that's fine, and hold it down with a bit of low tack tape. And I'm going to use my usual sandwich, but with the addition of a metal plate, because it's not a delicate die as such, but there's lots of close together bits and bobs, so we want them to cut properly first time. That's cut nicely, and we can get rid of the bits we don't want. I'm going to keep that because actually I'll do that now. I want to cut the little butterfly body from this. So I'll just take a little bit of that and run that through my Gemini Mini. So we can pop all these circles out. I'm going to use the stitched circles and the bits in between. So I've got the stitched ones and then the bit in between each frame which hasn't got the stitching on it. If you do something like this, you might want to give your dye a wash in some warm soapy water afterwards, because some of that luscious pigment might come off onto the metal and then colour future dyes that you don't necessarily want that colour. I forgot to say that we actually need 2 of these front panels because I've got 2 layers going on. The first thing I'm going to do with one of them is remove about 1 inch from the middle. So that's about almost 4 inches. So I'm going to take 1 inch off of there, and I'm going to take another inch off of there. I'm going to get rid of one of those inches, and then I'm going to take my tape runner, and stick that here, line it up with the edge, and eventually I'm going to stick this one here and then put that one back in, but I'm going to leave that for a minute and do the thing that I'm going to do with my frames, which is create a swooshy bit here. So basically I'm going to add some glue to the back of my cycles and lay them on here, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. And there's no, well, I suppose there is some rhyme and reason to it, but it's just to create a pretty little strip of paper that feels vibrant and evokes movement, the kind of movement you might see if you were watching a butterfly. So we're going to use not all of them probably, but lots of different sizes. Coming in from the side. So I'm going to let that stick a minute and then trim off the excess and see if I need to add any more. I think when you're trimming things like this, it's easier to do it from behind because you can see exactly where the edge is and press the scissors up against it. Oops, they do get a bit sticky. So let's see what that looks like once it's in place. So that bit's already stuck down. That bit's there. Get the right way up might help. And that bit will go on there. Now, the butterfly I'm going to pop here. So I think that's probably full enough. Although I wonder if I need a tiny little dot there. We'll take a bit of that off and you'll never know it wasn't a frame. Add a bit of glue, just a little dot. Get my tweezers and add it there. Does that look all right? I think that looks fine. Oops. You might need to add a bit of glue in a few places where there wasn't any. But now we can take this down. And we've got to add the last bit, the other side. So now for the butterfly, I've got a bit of memo pad, thin paper here, and we're going to add some double-sided sticky to it and stick the butterfly, the front white butterfly on top. I like that. And I'm going to cut around that later. I think it would be helpful just to have a bit of something to hold on to while I do this. And I'm going to take the innards of the gold butterfly, when I can get hold of them, and pop them in there. Wonder if I can just put that on top like that and push these down into the right place. Might dent the gold a bit, but we'll give it a go. You don't know until you try. You can just press at one end maybe. Press them down really well so that they get in contact with that double-sided tape. And then the rest that are still stuck on the post-it tape, we can pop in here. I'm going to give that a good burnish just with my finger to make sure everything's stuck down, and that'll also smooth out any little dents from the tweezers, I think. Now I'm going to cut this out. I'll cut most of it off just to make it easy to handle, and then use my detail scissors. When cutting something like this where you want to hide the cut, I try to angle the scissors so they slip slightly beneath the top die cut, and that way you shouldn't see any of the bottom layer poking out from behind. So there we have our little butterfly. I'm just going to put glue along the body area so that the wings can lift off a bit. Now for the body that I cut earlier, I shall get some glue on that. You don't need to glue his antenna because they've got nothing to glue to. And line him up the best I can. There we go, that's nice. For my sentiment, I've got a small Celebrate Today which I cut on my Silhouette Cameo, and that needs a little bit of glue. I haven't popped the sentiment up on anything because it's only crossing over a bit of card there, and I don't think that's particularly noticeable. I think that's fine. Now, finishing touches. I've got some Nouveau glitter drops in White Blizzard, which dry clear but have an iridescent glitter in them. And I think I will just dot them in this part here, around and about a bit, but I'm also going to pop some on the butterfly's head and body because it will give it a bit of extra dimension. It will give it a bit of a roundedness, which I think looks nice on a butterfly body. And I've done that thing again where I haven't stuck my panel to my card blank before adding the Nouveau drops, but that doesn't matter, we can work around it. There we go. I shall just add some tape, just avoiding the very edges. And there we are, all done. A beautiful butterfly celebration card. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video and you found it helpful, and maybe it's inspired you to get some of your dies out that you haven't used for a while. If you'd like to see more from me, do subscribe, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow for day 10 of Die Cut December. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.